My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of Paranormal Activity, The Ghost Dimension. And this review will have spoilers, so there's your warning. But if you've been watching my reviews for this franchise, you would know that I love the first two movies. I really like the third one, but the last few have just been rough, and this movie is no exception. And look, it's easy to call this movie abysmal and just the worst of the franchise, but I gotta be honest, there is some redeeming qualities. So let's begin talking about the cast. And Chris J. Murray, Britt Shaw, Dan Gill, and Ivy George all give perfectly fine performances. Like, they aren't great, but they sell you on what they needed to well enough. But Don McManus, who is the cult leader that we see in the videotapes, is just abysmal. Like, this guy feels so phony, and anytime he's on screen or he says anything, I'm just completely taken out of this movie. There is a couple effective moments, especially one scene where someone dressed as Santa Claus is standing in a doorway. And I do actually love some of what this movie is trying to do. They're watching Paranormal Activity 3. They're watching old videotapes, but they're somehow connecting to their story. Like that one scene where Layla sneezes, and I think it's Christy says bless you, is a really great moment. And they're going through all these tapes and they find Hunter in 1992. And I'm just like, okay, like they're actually using the time travel. This could be a really bonkers, effective movie. But by the end, it just becomes clear that it doesn't go anywhere interesting. Like, it introduces these compelling ideas, but it doesn't play off them at all. And when I think about the entire story of this franchise, about Christy and Katie, who had an imaginary friend, Toby, who's a demon, and they end up being part of a ritual by this witch's coven where they have to give the first male born to this demon, and then Christy and her family are getting haunted by this demon years later after they have a baby boy. But in order to stop him, they pass the demon off to Katie, who then gets possessed, kills her boyfriend, and ends up taking Hunter. Like, it's simple, but it's efficient, it's interesting, and it works. But every movie since the third one just feels like it doesn't add anything to the story. Like, we know Hunter is Wyatt, but like, what happened to Hunter? He's a part of this in 1992, and like, there's a part of this movie where they say that he was supposed to become the body in which Toby would fully possessed. Which, okay, fine, that makes sense, but this movie doesn't really embrace that either. So it just feels like this franchise has nowhere to go. It just feels like they have ideas and that's it. And like, this movie is called Paranormal Activity, The Ghost Dimension. So you think there would be a ghost dimension here, and there isn't. There's one scene where Layla enters this tunnel that suddenly is created, and I'm like, okay, let's see where this goes, and then it just pulls back. It's, like the first movie is very realistic, like it feels grounded, but recently these movies are getting crazier, but they still don't embrace it. They still try to feel grounded. And it's just like, look, if you're introducing time travel, just become a goofy movie. And it's like it's afraid to go anywhere interesting. And look, let's address the elephant in the room that unlike the other 5 movies, we see the demon here. And what is so effective about the first 3 movies is you don't see Toby. He's a demon. He's an unstoppable force. You're hopeless and helpless to stand up against him. So now that we see what he looks like, you're just like, oh, really? That's Toby? This CGI mess? And I hated the look. I hate the idea of showing him, and it's never really effective. Like, there's a few moments where you see him staring at the characters for a second and you get chills ever so briefly, but then it just goes away, and it was just a stupid decision. And look, I'm a defender of jump scares because I think jump scares are the payoff to tension and atmosphere, but here they are so unbelievably cheap. Like 90% of the scares in this movie is just Toby running at the camera. And it just feels cheap every single time. And there's these camera effects with this thing, and I don't know, I thought that was all dumb. This movie is apparently in 3D. I watched it in 2D, and I think that's a stupid decision. And I've watched the original ending and the alternate ending, and the original ending is stupid because it's just like, okay, everybody dies again. Like, what's the point? And the alternate ending kind of sucks as well because you're just like, okay, like, I don't know. This is a franchise that has overstayed its welcome. It has a couple moments. It does have good ideas. I just wish it was willing to embrace them more. Instead, what we get just feels like more of the same shit, and it just feels afraid to go anywhere interesting. I thought this movie was just a stupid waste of time, and I'm giving Paranormal Activity: The Ghost Dimension a 3 out of 10. Okay, have you seen Paranormal Activity: The Ghost Dimension? What did you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos soon. And Gavin